So we've just got some basic colors for our candle here today. We've got primary black, titanium white, and then napthol red, cadmium orange, and hansa yellow light. And our red and black are both golden fluid acrylics. These three are Liquitex soft body. Really doesn't matter for this purpose today, it's just what I have. So what I'm going to do to start with is we want to establish where our actual flame, our light source, is going to be. Doesn't have to be anything but a spot, just so that we know where that's going to be. And I'm going to let that dry because I don't want to smear it around. So I'm going to let it dry for just a few minutes and then begin to work on the glow. Okay, now this is nice and dry, and I'm going to be using this is called a scrumbling brush, Scrumbler by Artist Loft. Princeton makes one as well. This one's called a round blender by Princeton. Something roundish is going to be the best. This one's a mop. It's got a nice, anything with a nice round. You could use a filbert. This is a double thick filbert by Winsor & Newton. Anything with a good round edge is going to be best for this. So I'm going to use this Scrumbler brush by Artist Loft. And I'm going to take some water, dip my fingers in water, and I'm going to get it on the palette. Because when we dip our paintbrush into the cup of water, it's going to pick up way too much. So we're just going to get a little moisture. And I'm going to start by taking some orange and some red. We're just going to see what that does. Now this has a lot of water in it. That's going to be, see, it doesn't have much effect, but it did put something on there, just a hint. So we're going to need more than that. And I can see that we had a lot of water on there. So that's almost too much water. So you really don't need a lot at all. So we're going to start building up more paint on the brush. And I want kind of an orangish red. Now let's try this. Now that's going to be better. So I'm going to keep working at this. Now you can see the little bubbles forming. I'm just using a canvas here. Now the texture is important as well. If you're using a very smooth surface, it might be kind of tough. You want something to grab the paint because a smooth surface is just going to, that brush is just going to push the paint around. It's not going to grab it. So if you're using a smooth surface, it might be good to layer down a layer of gesso. And I wouldn't sand the gesso. I would probably water it down and then just apply it. Very nice and smooth and thin, and you'll get a little texture with that gesso. But another way to do it, you know, if you used a very thick canvas, a very heavy toothed canvas, I'm adding a little more, and we're going to put it in the center. A very coarse textured canvas is also going to be tough, so you could use gesso and then sand that down. This is a pretty fine woven canvas. You just want something with a little tooth, but not a lot. So here's our first layer. Now that's pretty simple. And if we keep working at it, and you see how right through here, how that starts to pick the paint back up. So we don't want it to get overworked like that. And that's fine, we can cover that up, but you can see how we lifted that paint up. It's all right, let's just leave it. We're going to let this dry, and we'll come back in another few minutes. Okay, so now the next step we're going to do is basically the same thing. We want to just build up that glow. So we're going to take more orange and red, and we're going to start right in the middle. Let's go in a circle motion. Just get further and further away. using very light pressure, I'm going to start blending the outside of this. And I'm just working on filling in some of these blotchy areas around the outer edge. I've got a very small amount of paint on my brush at this point, just enough to have a very small effect. You can see that slowly going on. And once again, we want to just let this dry for another few minutes. Okay, now this is dry again. We basically want to do the same thing. This is all about building it up slowly. If we try to go too quick, it's just not going to be quite as good. So, got a little moisture, got the same color. Just go back and forth. Now you wouldn't have to start with a black background. But this works really good for this example. You could start with really anything in the background and do the same. It's just going to have a different effect on this outer edge. And speaking of the outer edge, now so kind of get to this point, we can let that center dry, but we can kind of keep going, because if we take some red, we're just going to get red, and I'm probably going to grab some black with it as well. So we'll get some red and black, and I'm going to go around the outer edge. We could use another brush. I prefer to just blend it out with my hands. I've even used a sponge before to do this. A brush can be hard because we leave brush strokes. So you want something round, something soft. My fingers work really well for this. So now when we start getting a smaller amount of paint left on the brush, you can start moving that closer into the orange. Take some more red. We can go way out here. And this is essentially glazing this red. And once again, you don't want to overwork things. Again, this black makes for a really good example because it exposes all of our imperfections. It really exposes them. So we can see all those imperfections where we don't want them. So it's just a great way to show that. So for right now, we want to let that dry so that we can fix those imperfections. All right, now this is dry again, and we need to just do the exact same thing. I know it gets repetitive, but if we want a nice smooth blend, there really are no shortcuts. So we're going to start again. Just light pressure on the brush. This is going to start to saturate things more. So that's right around the center. And we can take more red. I'm going to grab some more water, tap it on the palette, pick up some of that red, grab some black, go around the outer edge. I'm going to get a little more fine-tuned now, kind of get into this more as we get around the edge. So this is very much so a glaze. Now if we grab some more red along with black, probably some more black this time. This is going to be a very deep red. Going to get around the outer edge. That'll really fade it into the black. Not very noticeable, very subtle, but it can make a pretty good big difference here. Okay, so now I'm going to wash my brush, wash my hand. And I'm going to need to get more red. Grab some more red. Now you can see the transition between our red area and the orange area has kind of this dirty area, just not very attractive. Center's all right, the outside's all right, but that transition could use some work. So we're going to take probably more red this time. And I'm trying to just get most of the water off. I don't want a lot on the brush. I could take my paper towel here and just dab off some of that paint. I think I want more red on the brush, so we're just going to pick up more red. Right through that area. Very light pressure now. Right in that transition zone. Just kind of an in-between color. We've got a very small amount of paint left on the brush. So I'm just buffing out a few areas that I see. Okay, so we're getting pretty close to being able to put a flame on here. Now what I could do to really enhance this as well is I could just take some black and some water. A lot of water. We could go around the outer edge with our black. glaze that in. That's just going to blend that color, that reddish area. It's just going to fade that even more so into the black. A little more dramatic. All these changes are subtle, but you've got to be willing to be patient. Okay, let's just stick with that. I'm going to wash my brush, wash my hands, and I'm going to switch to a, let's go with a round brush. This one is a number 2 round. We're going to take some white. Not a lot of water. I want it to cover well. We're going to create our flame. Just like that. Grab some more white. Just kind of go back over the top. Make sure it's nice and smooth, but I want it to be a good thick layer. I want it to cover well. And then we're going to have to just let that dry. Okay, so now that we've let it dry, you can see the outer edge there of the red is a little bit rough. So I'm going to grab some more black along with some red. And we've got a little water in this, and we're going to start adding some of this color in that transition between the orange and the black. Just using my finger to kind of blend some of that out. We're going to go all the way around, just trying to blend that black into our glow. Just moving that around with our fingers. We've got a lot of water in this mixture. There's very little paint at this point. So it's more so just a true glaze now. That's looking a little better. Just continuing to blend that out. I'm going to add a little bit more black. I'm trying to just pull that in a little bit further towards the orange, just increase that dramatic effect. So you can see that is just creates that glow, just brings that glow a little bit closer to the flame. Things look a little bit smoother now. So I'm going to grab some white along with some yellow. Our yellow's starting to tack up a little bit, dry on us. Get some water. Mix that in with our white. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow right around the outer edge of the flame. And we're back to using our round brush. And I'm going to switch to this is a double thick filbert from that Winsor & Newton, and I'm just going to use that brush just to kind of help us blend that out. And it's a dry brush right now. Just kind of fanning that out. So we're adding a little bit of paint with our round brush, and then just with light pressure, just kind of just tapping it out. A little more. Just fine tuning, just adding a touch of yellow right around the outer edge of that flame. Okay. So I'm going to grab some orange now, and right on the underside of this flame, we're just going to put a little bit of this orange. It's going to be very strong, not worried about blending it much. That's going to add a little bit of a realistic effect to our flame. And now I'm going to grab some white along with some yellow, and we're going to focus on creating our candle now. And so a candle is just a great way, it kind of does this automatically with a candle. We're able to show the light by having the actual object there underneath our flame. And having objects around your light source really enhance the light itself. So in this case, the candle makes us believe that the flame is actually a light source. So that candle's reflecting that light. So that's pretty much solid white. Now, as we move further down, we're going to start adding a touch of yellow. So I'm going to grab some more yellow. We're going to start to add some yellow underneath that. So as we get further away from the flame, it's going to go from yellow, and then we'll grab some orange, and that's going to move to red. So that's some pretty strong yellow. Just kind of lay that on there. Now I'm going to pick up some orange. We're going to take that orange and just go right underneath the yellow. I'm going to add that orange. Just kind of blending it into the yellow. Grab some more white and some yellow. Just kind of touch up that spot right there. Okay, and I'm going to grab just more orange. We're going to pick up a small amount of red. We're going to go underneath. We're just going to blend that from the orange down. Just trying to get more red on there. Grab some more red. And as we get further away from the flame, we want our colors to be a little more saturated. Just doing our best to just kind of fan that out, blend it out. Okay, now we're gonna pick up some black, mix that in with our red, and underneath that is just a touch of black. We're gonna start fading that even further down. Try to blend that up into our orange. just very carefully fine-tuning, just these micro adjustments. I'm going to grab even more black, and as we continue to move further down, I'm just going to make that darker and darker. And that black can be very overpowering, so we want to be careful. And you might want to pick up a second brush to help us fan that black, blend that black up into the red. We're going to do our best, but you can see we start to get little brush strokes. So it's good to have a nice round brush. Just do our best and then switch to this double thick filbert and just kind of fan that together. So you do your best job with a small brush first and then just kind of fan it out. You're never going to get a first layer of paint like this completely perfect, but you do the best you can, and then the second layer will be even better. So I'm going to take even more black now. This is pretty much just solid black. We're going to go below that, and we're going to try to fan it up, blend it up into that area, and then pull it all the way down into our dark color. Just pull that all the way down into the black. Just kind of make that disappear. And then using the same process, just try to blend it up a little bit and then switch to our filbert brush. Small circular motions, just kind of blend that up into the candle. All right. We're going to take a little bit more black. We're going to create a small candle wick just right underneath the flame. Nothing special, just adds a little touch. Dry my brushes off nice. And I'm going to grab some white along with some orange. And around the outer edge of our flame, we're going to start doing the same thing that we did and just kind of adding some orange, just increasing that glow effect. And as I get further away from the flame, the pressure gets lighter and lighter. Just a little bit of paint on the brush right now and just allowing that to just kind of disappear into the red. Just a very small amount of paint, micro adjustments, not a lot of paint on the brush at all. Good amount of moisture. It's really the same thing that we did originally with this glow. We're just adding it to the flame. It's just on a smaller scale. So just a little bit of paint, a little bit of water, light pressure, just tapping it on there, letting it just fall off the brush. As we get further away from the flame, we're going to lose our paint. That's going to make it appear more transparent. It's going to give that glow effect. Try to buff out a little bit here on the edge. Our paint's starting to tack up. We'll get a little more water on our brush. Just kind of increase that flow. Just keep it moving. There. All right. Now at this point, I think we just want to let things dry, and then we'll come back for a second layer after this. All right, so now for this final part, we'll try to wrap this up. We're going to take some orange along with a touch of red. Try to go on the outside of this glow. Just kind of blend that out. On the outer edge. And just kind of blend that out. And see how you get really fine-tuned. You can make all these small adjustments. Just increase that smoothness, that nice transition. Okay, we can do the same thing kind of with our candle down below. Get a little more red. Grab some red right through this area, and then I'm just going to blend it out with this filbert brush. Then we can take some black, grab some water, mix that black into our red. Down low here we can add some of that black right in that transition zone. And just blend it up. The drier the layer is underneath, the easier it's going to be, so we won't run the risk of lifting any of that paint up. Just tapping that out. A little bit of paint, tapping it out. We could take some of this more black. We could add the effect of some drips. Kind of fan it together. Maybe another one down low. Maybe one over here. So now we've got just a couple small details, just kind of add to the realism. Take some more of this color right through there, just kind of fan it out. All right, now I'm going to grab some yellow along with some white. Right along the flame, we're going to try to increase that glow. Right along the edge. We can do the same with underneath, just increasing that brightness. And then take some pure white, add some pure white to that. All right, now our flame itself is looking pretty good. I'm going to grab some orange, mix that in with this yellow white right on the top of our flame. just blending in some orange to the top. And then grabbing some white, just kind of blending that together. Now the outer part out here, in some areas it's a little rough still, and that just takes time to really blend this out. I'm going to grab a couple of these round blender brushes, and we can pick up the same colors we did before, red and black. We can start going to these areas. This is a dry brush now as I blend it out. We can just start looking. We kind of pull ourselves back, stand back, start looking for imperfections. Maybe there's one right there. A little dab of paint. Just kind of fan it out. Stand back. Maybe right there. A little dab of paint. Blend it out. Maybe right through here. A little bit blend of paint and just fan it out. This is where it gets very long, very tedious. Oh, maybe right through here. Just kind of fan that out. We could spend a long time at this. It really just depends what you want to get out of it. And the same with as we get closer to that flame. We've got more red. Just grabbing some red. Just blending it out, blending it together. And the more we do this, the smoother things are going to become. It just takes time. This can be applied to really anything you're doing. If I'm painting a cloud, I get a lot of questions about the clouds I do. This is really the same process. As we get closer to that flame, grab more of an orange, add some orange right there, and just kind of blend it out. All right, I think for this purpose, we're pretty much there. Just depends how detailed we want to get. I think for now, we're going to call that quits. That's a pretty cool flame. I hope you guys enjoyed this and learned a lot. All right, now if we wanted to keep working on the outer area and just blending that into the black more so, we could just keep working on that technique that we did towards the end of this, where we're just basically using one brush to add some color and then using another one to just fan that out. We could keep working on this for probably the next hour or two if we really wanted to. Or another option would be to take oil paint and use oil paint to really smooth out that blend around the outside. And that would probably be the faster route. So there's lots of ways to go about this. This is just a fun, short technique I thought I would share with you today. Remember, if you had questions, please be sure to leave them in the comments. I will join the discussion. And as always, be sure to check out my free print giveaway if you'd like to support my channel, as well as my website and eBay auctions, and both of those links are in the description below. So until next time, thanks so much for watching. Please like and share and subscribe to my channel for more great videos. We'll see you next time on another episode of Paint Like a Pro.